If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me tell you about it. It's free, which is amazing. And there are these really cool creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will even distribute your podcast for you, so it's easy to be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you get podcasts. And you get to make money with no minimum listenership, which is really cool. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started right away.
Yoga teachers, mindfulness leaders, and energy workers, are you ready to stop side hustling and start making an income doing what you love? Welcome to the Marketing Off the Mat podcast. Each week, your host, Jessica Cross, dives into conversations with successful creatives in wellness, business, marketing, and more to uncover practical methods to take your business from A to B and have some fun along the way. Grab some tea and pull up a seat. Let's dive into this episode.
Welcome back to the show. It's Jess, and this is Marketing Off the Mat. I'm so glad that you're here. You are going to love this chat that I had with my friend, Charlotte Reynolds. Charlotte is a digital strategy and business coach. She specializes in helping yoga teachers, coaches, and wellness experts to master the online space so that they can attract and convert more clients. Charlotte also has over 10 years of experience working in the digital marketing space, and she's coached hundreds of wellness entrepreneurs in mastering marketing and sales. We dive all the way into understanding what kind of unique experience and expertise that we already have and how to bring that into our business. Let's dive in. Hey, Charlotte, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. Thank you.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. Thanks so much for being here today. I'm really excited to talk to you a little bit more.
Yeah, wonderful. I was really excited to be asked to come on this podcast. So yeah, thanks for having me.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So I know that you've had an incredible story as far as like your career journey and everything that brought you to today. So we heard a little bit about you in the intro, but I know there's so much more to it. So tell us a little bit more about you and how your career brought you to where you are today.
Yeah, okay. So my background has always been in digital marketing, in advertising. So I used to work in advertising in London. Looking after like some pretty big clients like Netflix and Colgate. And I did that for sort of like 8 or so years and just kind of got a little bit over it. I started doing yoga in my lunch times in the office. I was like, oh, I quite like this. And then kind of just thought, you know what, this advertising lifestyle, all the drinking, the food, the lunches, all of that was just not matching up with my desire to practice yoga. And so sort of stepped away a little bit from that advertising lifestyle. And without all the perks of advertising, you kind of realize it's not that fun actually after all. So I went to go and do my yoga teacher training in India. And kind of while I was there, quickly realized that all of my background in advertising was going to be really helpful for me as a yoga teacher. And I knew that based on the questions I was being asked from the other people on my training and from the marketing module, I thought, God, that is just not enough information. And it's rubbish. It's so out of date. I was like, I have to do something when I get back for everybody on my like cohort. So I started thinking then, I was thinking, right, I'm going to do a workshop for everyone on my teacher training. And it went from there. So I got back from India and I created like an in-person workshop. And then that ran again and again and again. I then started picking up my own digital marketing clients. So mostly yoga businesses, retreat companies, yoga studios in London. And then when everything started going online, obviously my business went online as well. Like I was teaching yoga at the same time, but because I had this other business on the side, it was just handpicking the kind of classes that I wanted. Anyway, then when things went online, my business changed again and I started coaching. I turned my workshop into a group program pretty early on, actually, like when did we go into lockdown? Like March. I think I launched my group program in March. So it was very quick. And then I started one-to-one coaching, teaching online, and turned my workshop into a group program. And it's kind of gone from there, really. Now a huge part of my business is coaching, and I never thought I would be a coach, but it actually suits me perfectly. Like, I just love everything about it. And I work with clients all across the world. And because I work completely online, it's also meant that I got to move to Ibiza, where I am right now. So I was working from my bedroom in London. I thought, oh, this is rubbish. I actually don't need to be here at all, because I had no risk of like an office opening any minute. So I was like, right, I'm going to come to Ibiza, and just didn't leave. So here I am. I live in Ibiza with my cat, and I've got my business, and yeah, pretty happy.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's so cool. And I love that moment when you're like looking at your bedroom in London and you're like, I don't even have to be here. I'm just going to pick up and go.
Pretty much, yeah. It's kind of like my desk was like up against a wall, so I didn't have any kind of view. And that was like about 3 months. I thought, this is so bleak. And you got an hour in lockdown. You were given an hour to go and do like some kind of exercise. And I was just walking around a council estate, like tripping over rubbish on the floor, graffiti all up on the walls. Like I did love South East London, but you know, I was thinking it's not really very glamorous.
Or just even enjoyable.
Yeah.
And that's, I think that all of that, I just love how your story came together, just coming from your advertising background, you know, really getting like sinking your teeth into that and taking what you needed from it before realizing you're like, this isn't quite aligned with where I want to take my business, or where, you know, where you even want to be personally. And you just gave yourself the permission to go to India and take a teacher training. And then, as the universe does, shows you like, okay, these are how the two things go together. That's so cool.
Exactly. It did not take me very long to realize that moving into helping other teachers and other yoga businesses with marketing was really just the obvious next thing to do. There was such a clear demand for it at that time. And the sort of my background in digital mixed with then my own experience of building my business and my own brand kind of just came together into this. It's just such an obvious next thing to do.
Yeah, that's so cool. And it sounds like your teacher training's marketing portion was very similar to mine. It's like terrible and or mainly non-existent.
No, it was awful. But what's quite fun is I feel like yoga teacher trainings now are prioritizing the business of yoga and the digital marketing, teaching online portion of things, because I've now been asked and I have hosted that particular module for teacher trainings. It's really nice to be able to do it.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. Yeah. And I think, you know, just as everyone's eyes sort of opened in 2020 to the fact that, you know, we're moving forward in even more of a digital age than we already were. And now people are they're asking for it, and teacher trainings are listening.
For
So
sure.
It's so cool. So, you know, one of the things that, you know, as I was going through my journey in teacher training, and I felt like at some point I was like collecting trainings, because I kind of felt like I just need more stuff. I need more knowledge, maybe even in sort of areas that I wasn't interested in teaching in. And it kind of felt like progress. But at the end of the day, I think that I had the knowledge that I needed already in order to, you know, take my stuff online, like well before those, you know, hundreds of hours of lovely teacher trainings that were great, but also, you know, didn't really impact the bottom line. So I know that's something you're really passionate about, is teaching people how to use their existing expertise to take their businesses online. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely really passionate about helping yoga teachers to grow their own businesses through their online channels, growing their brand, understanding like sales and all those other things, using ads, Instagram, all of that. However, a real area of interest of mine that I've kind of almost moved into a little bit is helping teachers, not just to promote them as yoga teachers and the 60-minute movement classes, but thinking, how can I bring in all the other expertise that I have to create a business that is possibly going to earn you a little bit more money, a more stable income, allow you to work more online, a bit like I did, really. So I took my yoga teaching experience, combined it with my previous career to create this kind of niche business. And there's so many other yoga teachers who are like struggling and trying to fill memberships. And we know how hard that is now, filling memberships, growing your online classes. It's so difficult. But actually a lot of people want more than just a 60-minute yoga class. And yoga teachers, you know, think of all the things that you've maybe done in your previous career, all of your own lived experiences, like your own journey, all the things you've been through, all the tools you've got in your toolkit from life or from your teacher trainings or courses you've done and things like that. And so I've got really passionate about helping yoga teachers to kind of create offerings that utilizes that expertise that they already have. And I think often we just undervalue all of that knowledge that we have. Often yoga teachers have already been on this journey of like self-development and, you know, healing and all of these different things that we don't really realize can be packaged up into something that, you know, you can sell for more than a yoga class. And so a lot of the people that come to me wanting to grow their classes and they come to me for coaching kind of come away doing something else and grow, maybe creating a program or a course or moving into mentorship or something like that. Because I just really believe that there's such an opportunity there. And I feel like yoga teachers have so many of those core skills that are needed to run offerings like that.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. And I think too, I love that you're modeling that for teachers because for me and many of the teachers that I know and other trainings I've seen, it's like kind of the, you know, as you're saying, 60-minute movement class or the studio teaching job is really all that's promoted is like, if you get that, you've made it. And, you know, end of story, you make lots of money and, you know, you live happily ever after, which I think we all know it's not true.
But let's
so
be
much
honest,
more. Yeah.
Teaching like studio classes is just crap money. And it's difficult, it's tiring. Yeah, energetically you have to give a lot. It's difficult if that's your only offering. Yeah, it just is.
It is. And I love that you're showing there is another way. It's like you can, as you're saying, kind of handpick the classes that you did, the classes that you wanted to teach and let the rest of your business help you pay the bills versus like making the studio teaching be the one and only income. I love that.
Exactly. Because then then when you get to pick your classes, like when you have another revenue stream, you get to choose the classes that you really want to do. Like we've all said yes to teaching those classes in a studio that's just a bit grimy, or they definitely push the boundaries of the things that they ask you to do. And it's nice to be able to say, hey, actually, these are the classes that I want. I want the ones close to my house. I want the ones that pay me more. I want the ones that have a receptionist, like all these just little things where you think these are the ones that I want to do. And so by having another revenue stream, you're able to choose.
Yeah. And that's so true. It's like to actually have the choice is such a different mindset than let's collect 20 classes a week and it doesn't matter where they are. I'll drive all over town just to get there and make it happen. And so there's another way. Thank goodness.
Yeah. I mean, obviously when you start teaching, you want to pick up the experience and you want to teach as many people as you can. And then when you've been doing it for a little while, it feels like the only options then are retreats and maybe starting a yoga teacher training. Actually, there's this other option. There are other options. And that's the kind of options that I like to talk people through is, you know, the courses, the programs, coaching, mentoring. For some people, it's absolutely going to suit. Other people want to go down the teacher training routes. Other people want to go down the retreat route. Maybe do all of them. I don't know.
It's kind of the beauty of it is you get to make it what you want.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what do you think is kind of the like roadblock when teachers are kind of, they've been teaching for a little bit, as you're saying, they've gotten the experience. Now they're teaching in, one place they really like, maybe a few grimy, unattended front desks. And so they're looking for that other way. Maybe they've done a retreat or considered it, and they're feeling a little blocked on what to do next. So how do they overcome this kind of conditioning that we've adopted as teachers, that it's like, it's just, you got to grind it out, you got to teach as many classes as possible, accept opportunities that you don't really want? Like, how do you get them past that?
Yeah, like we already said, digital marketing is not something you just know, or marketing sales is not something you know unless you've learned it. So if you haven't come from a background of comms or marketing, then it's definitely okay to go, right, okay, I'm going to join a program, or I'm going to join a course, or get a coach for X, Y, and Z. I think there's definitely this feeling of like, I'm not expert enough yet, and always saying I need to learn more, I need to learn more, I need to learn more. But actually what I think is, as long as you're a few steps ahead of somebody else, then you're absolutely in a great position to be able to show them how to do it for themselves. Like, I definitely want to learn from people who've done what I want to do quite recently. I don't want to learn from someone who did something like 30 years ago and their methods and strategies are out of date, like who can't relate to your struggles and your journey. I want to learn from somebody who's kind of just done what I did. And I think that feeling of not expert enough does hold people back. I think also not knowing how to structure the expertise into something, like into an offering. So we know all this stuff. Like, yoga teachers always know loads of stuff, have loads of skills, loads of passions, loads of interests, but how to actually turn it into an offering that they can sell. So I think how to overcome it, invest in trainings and courses, get support from others. And like, don't be afraid to niche as well. I think if you feel like you're not expert enough in something, maybe you're going too broad, really dig down and go, who are the specific people that I can help and with what? And if you go really, really niche, then you're going to be like the most expert of all the experts because you're the only one that knows that particular thing.
So true. Yeah, that's so true. And I think I love that and I think there's a lot of, I don't even know if I want to call it a syndrome, but, imposter, like we have this imposter energy, and it could very much be, like you said, it's like, you've not quite narrowed it down enough to say that you fully can stand in that truth. You understand exactly what it is that person's looking for from a transformation standpoint. So yeah, I hadn't really thought, I hadn't considered that before. That's really awesome. One of the things too that I really love that you said is, don't be afraid to invest in a course or mentorship or a coach or whatever it is, because literally everything that you have a question about, that you think you're like, no one gets this, I promise that there is somebody who can coach you through that. There is a coach literally for everything these days.
Definitely,
so
for sure.
Definitely.
And it's good to that. Yeah, there's always people out there who have been where you want to go. And it's so important to find people who have that experience in your industry, because it's also good to find people to coach you who are a bit like your ideal client, because they can help you with things like the messaging, making sure that it's on point. Like, would they buy it? And they can really relate to kind of not just like the how to do it, but whether it's actually something that you should continue with.
That's so true.
Yeah.
That's so true. And I love too what you mentioned about maybe not looking for somebody who has done this, 30 years ago, because the world is so different, or even 5 years ago for that matter. It's like somebody who's like, recently figured this out in this current, very unique environment that we're all in right now. It makes a big difference.
Yeah, definitely. Like, you don't need to have a degree in something. You don't need to be the most expert in something. Like, for example, if I want to learn handstands, I'm not going to go to like some like 50-year-old dude who learned handstands in the circus, like when he was 12. And I just found them always so easy, you know, because he's not gonna relate to me when I'm like, I can hold it for 5 seconds and I've been trying for years and this is so hard. And like, my body is different to yours. I want to learn from someone who also has been struggling and is like, I know that there's no secret magic thing that they can say, but you know, I want to learn from that person who's also struggled.
Yes.
Yeah. Been through it. They've made the mistakes on my behalf.
Yeah. I love that. It's so, it's so much more humanizing to work with somebody who's actually struggled a little bit and is not afraid to tell you about it, versus like, this has been the easiest process, you know, starting my business. Oh, it was a cinch, like no problem. Or the handstand. It's like, yeah, I can land that. No problem. Like, and to me, I'm like, oh, I think what's wrong with me? Like,
yeah. Well, we know that as teachers as well, right? There's always that pose that we could just all naturally do. And it's so hard to teach it because you're like, well, I've never actually had to learn it. I could just do it. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you're at the front of the room and you're like, I really want to offer this today. And you're like, I just don't have the language for it.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's so true. So I just love that you're like kind of being a touch point, a shining light out in the world for teachers to understand that there's another way, there's, you know, potentially even a better way that maybe, you know, we weren't maybe awake to before the pandemic, or, you know, there's just more resources and more people that are doing exactly what you've done and paving their own way and saying, hey, like, come with me. Let's go do this. We can figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, like the online space has just obviously exploded, but specifically people investing in their own learning. So how many courses and programs did people sign up for in lockdown? And I don't think it's a trend that's going to go away. Like, that's how many people have signed up for a coach for the very first time in the last few years. So this kind of moving into the business of teaching or educating or training, coaching, mentoring, whatever you want to call it, it's just such a growing industry. And like I said, I just think that if we really sit down and think about all of the things that we know, it can be so helpful for so many people. Like I bet anyone listening, like I bet at the end of class, you have people coming to you asking questions about things outside of the class, like self-care, meditation, whatever that is. And there's definitely, well, there could potentially be scope to create an offering, like, and then you can send them to something else that you've already created.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think you were saying too about people like seeking out a person or a coach that is maybe in your target market who is, you know, already kind of like giving you that feedback. Also, I love that what you said is listen to your students or listen to your clients, because they often give us cues and clues for the thing that they're looking for that maybe you're like, oh, that's, everybody knows that, right? Like, that's so easy, but that's like your zone of genius.
Totally. Like I have one girl who's going to start working with me, and she basically was like, new teachers keep coming to me for advice about teaching and business and anatomy. So I'm helping her to create her own like mentorship offering for new teachers. Then again, like another girl who I'm going to start working with, she has already helped, like it wasn't even in her background, but she's already helped 2 yoga studios to create their yoga teacher trainings from scratch. So I'm going to help her to package that up into an offering for other studios. Like, it's so niche, but like, how helpful is that for a yoga studio to be able to work with this person and show them how to do it probably 10 times quicker than if they went through all of the online learning themselves, looking at different courses and podcasts and all of this. Like, so valuable. And just I just think it's so great.
Yeah, I so agree. And I'm just thinking about, you know, the studio owners that I know, how much time that they're going to save to put it into somebody who already has had results for 2 other studios. That's like a no-brainer. That's a great idea.
Exactly, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's, again, just knowledge and experience that she already has, and it's just packaging it up and thinking about, how am I going to deliver this? How am I going to price it? How am I going to market it? How am I going to sell it? all of this stuff. But yeah, it's just all, just keep learning, keep growing, isn't it?
And start listening for those little clues and the little glimpses of things when you start to think that maybe it's like so obvious that might actually be your thing.
Yeah, and you can still keep teaching, but how nice to be able to pick and choose what you do at different points of the week, do it around your teaching, go and live in Ibiza, whatever you want.
Yeah. Coming to visit, by the way. Yeah, I mean, I think too is like, it's so, people like you are showing us that there's another way to lead our lives that's not so like regimented. And it's like, you get the job and then you buy the house and you stay in the same area forever and you retire at a certain age. And it's like, you can kind of listen to the glimpses of knowledge as you're kind of going through this. It's like your client, for instance, she helped a studio build their teacher training, and then someone else asked her, and she got that idea that it's like, this could be like her life. This could be her life's work. And that's the coolest thing. So I love that story, and I love your story too.
Amazing. Yeah.
It really is. So, okay. So through all of this, I know that you've probably learned a ton, and you could probably look back, and if you could like look back to maybe a previous version of you, either at any point in your career or your yoga teacher training, if you could go back and tell previous Charlotte a little tip or something that helped her from a few sleepless nights, what would it be?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So in terms of learnings, I mean, first one, I mean, it's a bit corny, but just like always trust your gut. I think if there's something that doesn't feel right, it's okay to say no. Same as if something feels like completely right and something you should do, like don't let anyone talk you out of it, but just do it.
Yes.
I also think just getting a support network as early as possible of other people who are running their own businesses, because your friends and your family, as much as you want them to be able to like support you and cheer you on, they're not really going to understand in the same way as someone else who's also running a business. So whether it be just getting a group of business buddies together, like for monthly calls, or joining a group program or whatever it might be, like I just think I've just, from getting that support network myself in various different ways, been so beneficial for support, but also for connections as well. Like it's all who you know really at the end of the day. So yeah, that'd be my two things.
Those are good ones. And I think like what you were saying too, it's like, of course it can sound trite, like trust your gut, and so much of that advice is out there, but it's like, it's very common because it's true. And I think as women too, we are often taught to ignore some of those, like, maybe it's just me, but actually like like innately, and your body and your mind and your heart give you those cues where it's like, this is right. Or maybe this, as you're saying too, someone's telling you something's wrong, but you're getting that clue that it's like, no, this is the thing I'm going to do. You got to listen.
Yeah, totally. Like, your business better than anyone else. Your clients better than anyone else. Yourself better than anyone else. So yeah, trust your gut instinct. I had a bit of a like kind of, what should we say, like a meltdown about the program that I've just created. I had this feeling when the idea came to me, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is right. This is so right. And I was so excited and started throwing all the ideas out there. Basically within hardly any time at all, I created the whole course. So I knew it was right. And then when I did an Instagram poll on my Instagram stories, and I said, should I do this course or this course? And everybody said the other one. And I was like, oh no, what am I going to do? Everybody wants the other one. And so I proceeded to be like, I know that this is right, but got to give people what they want. Like maybe nobody's ready for that right now. Maybe it's too niche. So I just taught myself out of it, and I started creating the other course. like a few weeks down the road, after trying to like slogging this other course, like trying to write the sales page, trying to create the content, I was like, this is just not working. And I reverted back to the original course. And I was just like, I can't believe I just went around the houses doing that. But, you know, now I'm doing the original one again, and it is super niche. However, the right people will always find you if it's right. It just might take a bit longer. Yeah. So should have gone with my gut. Should have taken my own advice.
But here you are sharing that experience with us, and we're learning from it. So thank you.
You are welcome.
That's so true. I mean, I can think of a dozen different examples of when I've done the exact same thing, where it's just like something feels so good and you get like a little thrown off by somebody's opinion, even just like in passing, or, Instagram story poll, like something like that. I can think of so many times when I've done the exact same thing and wished that I wouldn't have, waited as long or gotten sidetracked. But for whatever reason, when it does come, the timing is right. So
yeah, it was actually a friend of mine who was a coach, and she was asking me about it. And as I could hear myself saying it, I was like, you don't even need to say what I know you're going to say. I know I need to go back to the other one. She didn't have to say any words. But sometimes it just takes someone else to go, are you sure this is right? This doesn't sound like you're doing the right thing, to sort of get you back on track. And that, I guess, is the beauty of coaching, isn't it? And it's the beauty of having support from the right people.
100%. Even if it's just simply as someone's like holding the mirror up to you and like, is this exactly what? And you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I see it. Yeah. Oh, it's so true. Okay. So speaking of all these lovely courses and offerings that you're putting out in the ether, how can we find those, and what do you have coming up?
Yeah, well, so the course that I nearly didn't do, that is now a thing, it's come into reality. It's called Yogi to Coach. So it is for yoga teachers, exactly like how I was just speaking about before, who have other areas of expertise and interest and passion points, and know that they want to create a new offering and income stream, but basically want the cheat sheet of exactly how to get that set up, how to create the business, how to pivot their offering, how to sell it with confidence. It's a step-by-step, basically all of my trial and error in one course, to start coaching or mentoring. And then my sort of flagship original program is called Master the Gram, and it's for yoga teachers who really just want to get their online marketing strategy really, really solid. So it's for teachers who are kind of using Instagram, just kind of winging it, posting and hoping for the best with no real strategy, who want to learn marketing and sales using Instagram as their primary marketing tool. That's actually on demand, but I'm going to run it again live towards the end of the year. Yogi to Coach, the doors have just closed. However, I'll be opening it again at the end of summer. So depending on when anyone is listening to this, you could go onto my Instagram and have a look what's going on which is Charlotte Reynolds __. I also have a podcast it's specifically for yoga teachers and coaches. It's called the Digital Yogi Podcast. I didn't put a lot of thought into the name. The Digital Yogi is the name of my business. So it's the Digital Yogi Podcast. And then you can find me online, thedigitalyogi.co.uk.
Beautiful. Well, we'll be sure to put links to all of your amazing stuff in the show notes so people can find you easily. And I'm just so grateful that we got to spend this time together. I learned so much from you. So thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
Isn't Charlotte great? I just love getting to know her. And I hope that you left with a little bit more openness to the fact that you might have some expertise that you could bring into this world that you might not have considered yet. So go give her a follow at Charlotte Reynolds __. Also check out her podcast, the Digital Yogi Podcast, and check her out on her website, thedigitalyogi.co.uk, and you can find her new program over there as well, Yogi to Coach. I'll put all the links in the show notes, so be sure to go check her out. I'm sending you so much love. Keep showing up. I'm rooting for you. Until next time.
Thanks for listening to the Marketing Off the Mat podcast, and give yourself some gratitude for taking action in your wellness business journey. Please share this episode with someone you know who could use a fresh dose of inspiration. And we'd be thrilled if you would rate, review, and subscribe to Marketing Off the Mat on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Want to share an idea with Jessica? DM her at jessicacross.co on Instagram to continue the conversation, or find out how she can help you take the next right step in your business. Until next time, stay inspired and keep showing up.